bespoke analysis. It's good to have you again with us. Right, on the show tonight, it's official. Boris Johnson will be the chief guest at India's Republic Day next month. Visiting UK Foreign Minister Dominic Raab said in New Delhi that Johnson has accepted Prime Minister Modi's invitation. Johnson says he looks forward to visiting India to strengthen the ties post-Brexit, post-COVID-19 world. Also on the show, Prime Minister Modi visited Kutch in Gujarat on Tuesday. He inaugurated several projects there. He also spoke about agriculture reforms. We get you a ground report. Plus updates from India and the world. All that and much more coming up over the next 1 hour. But first, as always, the headlines. PM Modi reassures farmers, says government ready for talks at any time to resolve their doubts about new farm acts, accuses the opposition of spreading misinformation about reforms in the agriculture sector. A Bharatiya Kisan Union delegation meets Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar, extends support to reforms, seeks amendments to new farm acts, suspends protests for the time being. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates developmental projects in Gujarat's Kutch, lays the foundation stone of a 30,000 megawatt renewable energy park and 2 other projects, says Kutch has taken a big step towards new age technology and economy. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson accepts Prime Minister Modi's invitation to be the chief guest at India's Republic Day celebrations next month. External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar holds talks with his British counterpart Dominic Raab in New Delhi, discusses bilateral, regional and global issues of mutual interest. A BJP delegation meets Chief Election Commissioner, raises the issue of worsening law and order in the poll-bound state of West Bengal, seeks application of model code of conduct in the state at the earliest. The deputy chairperson of Karnataka Legislative Council manhandled by opposition members. Congress legislators heckle, push and forcibly remove deputy chairperson S.L. Dharmegowda from his seat. BJP and JDS call it a day of shame. PM Modi to light up Swarnim Vijay Mashaal on Wednesday and begin the 50th anniversary celebrations of the 1971 India-Pakistan War. The PM will lay wreath and pay homage to the fallen soldiers at National War Memorial. India registers another landmark achievement in its fight against COVID-19. Recovery rate crosses 95%, one of the highest in the world. Health Ministry unveils plan for vaccination involving cold chain management and training of personnel. And European nations impose COVID-19 restrictions ahead of Christmas. Germany set for stricter lockdown from Wednesday. France lifts lockdown but imposes night curfew as the number of deaths and infections from the coronavirus reaches record levels. Right, first up, Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday reassured farmers who have been protesting against the new farm acts. He reiterated that his government was committed to farmers' welfare. Here's a report.
बार बार दोहराता हूं कि उनकी हर शंका के समाधान के लिए सरकार 24 घंटे तैयार है। किसानों का हित पहले दिन से हमारी सरकार की सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकताओं में से एक रहा।
PM on Tuesday reassured the farmer community that the government is committed to farmers' welfare and will keep addressing their concerns. PM said that the welfare of farmers is the top priority of the centre. He said that the political parties now criticizing the farm reform laws are the ones who used to support the provisions when they were in power.
आज जो लोग विपक्ष में बैठकर किसानों को भ्रमित कर रहे हैं, वो भी अपनी सरकार के समय इन कृषि सुधारों के समर्थन में थे, लेकिन अपनी सरकार के रहते वो निर्णय नहीं ले पाए, किसानों को झूठे दिलासे देते रहे। आज जब देश ने यह ऐतिहासिक कदम उठा लिया तो यही लोग किसानों को भ्रमित करने में जुट गए हैं।
PM reaffirmed that the centre is working with honest policies and intent towards farmer welfare, adding that the government is working to increase the options spread for the farmers to increase their income.
सरकार के ईमानदार प्रयास और जिसको करीब करीब पूरे देश ने आशीर्वाद दिए हैं, देश के हर कोने के किसानों ने आशीर्वाद दिए हैं। मुझे विश्वास है कि किसानों के आशीर्वाद की ये ताकत, देश भर के किसानों के आशीर्वाद की ताकत, जो भ्रम फैलाने वाले लोग हैं, जो राजनीति करने पर तुले हुए लोग हैं, जो किसानों के कंधे पर बंदूकें फोड़ रहे हैं, देश के सारे जागरूक किसान उनको भी परास्त करके रहेंगे।
Meanwhile, farmers are staying put at the border areas of the capital. On another front, members of Bharatiya Kisan Union met Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar at Krishi Bhavan. They extended their support for the new farm reforms but also sought some amendments. BKU has announced that they will give the government time to make the changes sought and will suspend their protests for the time being.
कई जगह किसान कुछ भ्रम फैला रहे हैं और इसलिए इन लोगों के मन में भी भ्रम था। जब मैंने विषय को रखा तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम पूरी तरह बिलों का समर्थन यहाँ भी करते हैं और अब जिला स्थान तक जाएंगे और बिलों के बारे में किसानों को बताएंगे, किसी को गुमराह होने की जरूरत नहीं।
जब हमें बुलाया सुनने के लिए, हमने बातें रखी अपनी, तो मंत्री जी का एकदम बहुत बढ़िया निर्णय रहा कि हम इन पर विचार करेंगे और आपकी बातों को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। सब जगह हम अपने जितने भी जिलों में हमारा आंदोलन चल रहा था, उत्तर प्रदेश के जिलों में, उत्तराखंड में, या तो उन जगह अभी हम रोकेंगे।
Meanwhile, many union ministers have targeted the opposition parties and accused them to protest the laws without any reason.
कई प्रकार से किसानों से वार्ता हुई है, लेकिन किसान के हित में जो बातें हैं उसको ओझल करने का काम कम्युनिस्ट और कांग्रेस के नेता लोग करने का काम कर रहे हैं और आप देख रहे हैं, इसलिए किसानों के हित में उठाया गया कदम है।
नियत और पूरी तरह से इनकी जो है वो नियत में खो है और ये चाहते ही नहीं कि किसानों का कोई मुद्दा उसका समाधान हो, क्योंकि किसानों के जो न सशक्तिकरण के साथी हैं ये और न सफलता के साथी हैं।
जब इनके ऊपर बहस करने का समय था पार्लियामेंट के अंदर, तब तो श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी जी भी और राहुल गांधी जी भी वो अमेरिका चले गए, लेकिन जैसे ही कानून पास हुए अगले दिन आ गए और पंजाब में जाके राहुल जी ट्रैक्टर के ऊपर बैठ गए, किसानों को भड़काना शुरू किया।
While farmer unions from Punjab, Haryana and some parts of UP are protesting the new farm reform laws, many farmer representatives from many parts of the nation have come forward to support the reforms initiated by the centre. On Tuesday, PM himself led from the front and centre has extended a hand towards the farmers. With Rishi Kumar and Shishir Shelar, News Night Desk, DD India. Right, moving on, Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday inaugurated several development projects in Gujarat's Kutch. He laid the foundation stone of a 30,000 megawatt hybrid renewable energy park, seawater desalination plant and modern milk processing plant. My colleague Shishir Shelar filed this report.
Kutch on the path of rapid and sustainable development, fueled by Prime Minister Modi's vision for the region. Known for its mesmerizing beauty as a white desert, is cursed with water scarcity. It also bears the scars of the devastating earthquake in 2000. Prime Minister Modi has played a pivotal role in its journey from then to now. Prime Minister Modi added another milestone in this journey, laying the foundation stone of several development projects. The projects include a desalination plant, a hybrid renewable energy park, and a fully automated milk processing and packaging plant. The PM stressed that Kutch has shown the country how a region can progress towards self-reliance with optimum utilization of its resources.
तीनों ही कच्छ की विकास यात्रा में नए आयाम लिखने वाले हैं और इसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ यहां के मेरे किसान भाइयों बहनों को, पशुपालक भाइयों बहनों को, यहां के सामान्य नागरिकों को और विशेषकर हमारी माताओं बहनों को होने वाला।
Spread over 72,600 hectares of land, the hybrid renewable energy park will have a dedicated hybrid park zone for wind and solar energy storage as well as exclusive zone for wind park activities. The park will play a crucial role in fulfilling Prime Minister Modi's vision to generate 450 gigawatts of renewable power capacity by 2030. Prime Minister said that hybrid plant will open doors for employment as well as prevent emissions of 5 crore tons of CO2.
इस रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी पार्क में करीब करीब 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए का निवेश होगा। सोचिए, रेगिस्तान की कितनी बड़ी भूमि का सदुपयोग होगा। सीमा के साथ पवन चक्कियां लगने से सीमा सुरक्षित भी और अधिक बेहतर होगी।
The Kutch region faced several challenges to fulfill its need for fresh water availability. Gujarat took significant steps under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who took several initiatives to strengthen fresh water availability in the state over years. The PM also underlined that the plant will benefit over 8 lakh people in the Kutch region.
पानी को लेकर भी गुजरात ने जो काम किया है वो आज देश के लिए दिशा दर्शक बना है। पानी सफाई का ये प्लांट जब तैयार हो जाएगा तो इससे रोज 10 करोड़ लीटर साफ पानी की सप्लाई हो सकेगी। एक और लाभ ये होगा कि सैकड़ों किलोमीटर दूर से यहां आ रहा नर्मदा का पानी, उसका भी हम ज्यादा अच्छा सदुपयोग कर पाएंगे।
The fully automated milk processing and packaging plant at Sarhad Dairy, Anjar, Kutch will cost 121 crore rupees and will have the capacity to process 2 lakh liters of milk per day.
इस डेयरी ने कच्छ के पशुपालकों का जीवन बदलने में बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। कुछ साल पहले तक कच्छ से, और वो भी बहुत कम मात्रा में, दूध को प्रोसेसिंग के लिए गांधीनगर की डेयरी में लाया जाता था, लेकिन अब वही प्रोसेसिंग अंजार के डेयरी प्लांट में हो रही है।
The PM also recalled the work done for the development and reconstruction of Kutch during his tenure as Gujarat Chief Minister and appreciated the people for their work towards development of the state. With inputs from Shishi Shelar, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met several delegations of local people at the tent city in Kutch. He gave a patient hearing to what they had to say. The Prime Minister also sought feedback from them on the implementation of flagship programs of the government. All right, let me now get to our cover story. It is on India-UK relations. Now, India and the UK are talking about a 10-year roadmap for a new era in the relationship, including collaboration on an enhanced trade partnership with a possible free trade agreement in the future. It's expected to unlock economic benefit for the UK and India after Brexit becomes a reality. Remember, the UK is set to leave the European Union on 31st December, even as London and Brussels are struggling to clinch a post-Brexit trade deal. These and other issues were discussed when the foreign ministers of India and the UK met in New Delhi on Tuesday. Take a look at this report. Visiting British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab began his 4-day visit to India with a meeting with Minister of External Affairs Sardar Jaishankar. The two held 4 hours of discussion on a wide range of issues.
You are coming through the Brexit. All of us are also struggling with the COVID. So the world's very different. I hope today in the discussions, a lot of the convergences and the touch points of our relationship, we can build on that.
The focus was on how to take the bilateral ties to a higher level. Addressing a joint news conference, Raab said British Prime Minister Boris Johnson would visit India next month.
I'm pleased that Prime Minister Johnson has invited Prime Minister Modi to join the UK-hosted G7 summit next year. And Prime Minister Johnson has also gratefully accepted the very generous invitation to attend India's Republic Day celebrations in January, which is a great honour.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson expressed his delight at his forthcoming visit to India. In a statement, he said, "I am absolutely delighted to be visiting India next year at the start of an exciting year for global Britain and look forward to delivering the quantum leap in our bilateral relationship that Prime Minister Modi and I have pledged to achieve. As a key player in the Indo-Pacific region, India is an increasingly indispensable partner for the United Kingdom as we work to boost jobs and growth, confront shared threats to our security and protect our planet." Jaishankar said Johnson accepting the Republic Day invitation was symbolic of a new era in India-UK ties. Johnson has responded by inviting Prime Minister Narendra Modi to take part in the G7 summit to be hosted by the UK next year. Raab's visit comes at a time when the UK is holding complex negotiations with the European Union on reaching a post-Brexit trade deal. In the wake of Brexit, the UK has been looking at ramping up trade with leading economies such as India.
We agreed on key elements of a 10-year UK-India roadmap so that we can deliver a step change in ambition for the relationship between our two countries. First of all, we want to deepen our economic partnership. What we want to do is take that to another level, working towards agreeing an enhanced trade partnership next year, which itself would be, we hope, a stepping stone towards a future free trade agreement. And I think that can unlock huge opportunities for British and Indian businesses, lowering barriers in areas like food and drink, healthcare and life sciences, IT, data, chemicals and financial services.
There have been apprehensions that the UK's separation from the European Union without a trade deal could severely cripple its financial markets and may have long-term implications for its economy. Jaishankar said there have been very big changes in global politics, and India and the UK believe that their interests were better served by working together more effectively.
As foreign ministers, we naturally reviewed the state of the world, the situation in Afghanistan, the evolution of the Indo-Pacific, and developments in the Middle East were among the subjects that came up. The challenges posed by terrorism and radicalism were a shared concern. As India enters the UN Security Council next month, we look forward to working together with the UK on a range of global issues.
The twin issues of climate change and clean energy were also discussed. The UK will also host a climate change summit next year. Cooperation in the post-COVID-19 world order was another topic of mutual interest. Dominic Raab also met Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar at Paryavaran Bhavan, which is a green building. The two leaders discussed scope for future collaboration between the two countries on climate change and achieving related sustainable development goals. Raab will travel to Bengaluru, where he will meet Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa on 17th December. News Night Desk, DD India. Right, let's take another look at India-UK ties. Let me break it down for the benefit of you, the viewers. First up, let's take a broad view perspective on India-UK ties. Now, Boris Johnson will be the chief guest on India's Republic Day. Now, PM Modi spoke to Johnson on 27 November. He invited Johnson for Republic Day next year. Next up it's the second UK leader after John Major in 1993. It's a very rare honor that PM Modi has extended to his British counterpart. Next up is Johnson's first major bilateral visit. Remember, Johnson said in a statement that it would be his first big visit overseas since taking office. Not only that, it'll be his first after UK's 31 December exit from the European Union. Remember, Johnson's India visit would be the first by the British PM after Brexit becomes a reality. Next up, Johnson's visit will kick off Britain's Global Britain campaign. Now, Global Britain is the UK's mantra for post-Brexit foreign policy. Now, the India-UK strategic partnership dates back to 2004. It's a modern partnership bound by very strong historical ties as well. Now, Johnson said in a statement that India is a key player in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, Johnson said, and I quote him here, as a key player in the Indo-Pacific region, India is an increasingly indispensable partner for the United Kingdom as we work to boost jobs and growth, confront shared threats to our security and protect our planet. Unquote. Clearly, the UK seeks to step up engagement with the Indo-Pacific. The UK calls it its Indo-Pacific tilt. In fact, the UK will make the first deployment of the HMS Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier group to the Indo-Pacific next year. Now, in return, Johnson invited Prime Minister Modi to the next G7 summit. Johnson has invited PM Modi to the Group of Seven summit. The UK will host it next year. The UK has invited South Korea and Australia besides India. Now, Johnson says India is the pharmacy of the world. That's very interesting. Now, Johnson said India supplies more than 50% of the world's vaccines. Over 1 billion doses of the UK's Oxford and AstraZeneca vaccine are being manufactured at India's Serum Institute at Pune. The UK also got masks and paracetamol from India. Now, India and the UK have cooperated extensively throughout the coronavirus outbreak to maintain the flow of medical goods for their peoples. Now, the UK received 11 million face masks and 3 million packets of paracetamol from India during the pandemic. That's not all. India and the UK continue to work together to keep vital supply chains open as well. And talking about trade and investment, there are 842 Indian companies in the UK. Now, trade and investment forms a big pillar of the India-UK ties. India was the third largest investor in the UK, and it's emerged as one of the largest international job creators in the UK as well. For its part, the UK was the fourth largest investor in India after Mauritius, Singapore and Japan. And finally, the combined turnover of those companies is to the tune of 55 billion US dollars. That's going to give a fair idea of where India-UK ties stand today as we speak and where they might be headed in the years ahead. Right, time for a very short break here on Newsnight. Don't go anywhere.
वैश्विक महामारी कोविड-19 जिसका कहर संपूर्ण मानव जाति को अपनी आगोश में ले चुका है। टीका या दवाई उपलब्ध होने तक महामारी के खिलाफ मानवता की जंग जारी है। अब जब अनलॉक 5 के तहत लगभग सारा देश खुल गया है, तब और भी आवश्यक है कि हम सतर्क रहें। ऐसे में सबसे जरूरी है समझदारी और बचाव। फेस मास्क कोरोना से रोकथाम का सबसे प्रभावी उपाय साबित हुआ है। विश्व स्वास्थ्य संगठन और विशेषज्ञों के शोध का भी यही निष्कर्ष है कि मास्क से मुंह और नाक को अच्छी तरह ढककर कोरोना संक्रमण को कम किया जा सकता है। मास्क पहनने से आप कोरोना से अपना और आसपास के लोगों का भी बचाव करते हैं। कोरोना संक्रमण से बचाव के लिए मास्क पहनने के साथ ही जरूरी है मास्क को सही तरीके से पहनना। बहुत से लोग मास्क से नाक और मुंह को सही तरीके से नहीं ढकते, जिससे संक्रमण का खतरा बना रहता है।
बिना मास्क या फेस कवर के घर से बाहर निकलने की अभी कल्पना करना भी सही नहीं है।
जुड़िए डीडी न्यूज की खास मुहिम मास्क अप इंडिया के साथ।
Welcome back. You're watching News Night on DD India. Time now for our In Focus segment, in which we are discussing about deepening India-UK ties the way forward. And joining me are two very special guests, Ambassador Pinag Ranjan Chakravarti and Professor Harsh Pant. If I can first of all welcome both my guests to News Night and start with Ambassador Chakravarti. Ambassador Chakravarti, the popular narrative seems to focus only on certain regions of the world or countries of the world. From India's perspective, it's the neighborhood, and the US to a large extent. The UK and the EU are there, and yet they are not there, really speaking. So, will you help locate the India-UK ties in its right context, and why is the India-UK ties so important, so significant for both countries?
Into history to define those ties. There have been ups and downs. We have been unhappy with the UK for various things, and the UK, after its exit from after Brexit, will be looking for other opportunities. And India is one of the largest growing economies, and UK will be looking at Asia because it will have problems with Europe, for the rest of Europe. So UK is charting a new course, and I think it is now looking for friends elsewhere rather than in its own continent. So I think this is part of the thing, understanding that I think we have reached with UK, and it's a mutual understanding. And the result of which, the one manifestation of which is that the invitation for the Republic Day Parade. So I think what is happening now is that we are getting into, certain bilateral arrangements with UK. Obviously, economic, arrangements would be primary, but there are more. There are other areas: pharmacy, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare. Education can become a major sector, and so many Indian students work there, study there, and work there. And there's 1.4 million people of Indian origin there. So I think there are obviously historical links, and the new links have to be forged. And investments, trade, economic, commercial. I think what we will probably see is a trading arrangement, which will maybe a preferential trading arrangement or a special trading arrangement that will seek to increase trade both ways. UK is obviously interested in a huge market like India. It is the largest producer of, certain things, food and drinks. And so I think that is going to happen. So I think this is a mutually sort of beneficial relationship that we could exploit in the future. Apart from the defense side, where, of course, we have not been a major major customer of defense products from UK. We have shifted our sort of purchases to other countries. So I think this is what is going to happen now, is that we are probably looking for new vistas for cooperation.
Absolutely.
And UK is interested, and now that it'll come out of Europe, it has to look for new opportunities.
Indeed. Professor Pant, Minister Jaishankar says there were 5 broad themes in his discussions with his British counterpart: connecting people, trade and prosperity, defense and security, climate, and last but not the least, health. Now, talking about defense and security, Professor Pant, one can't help but also talk about the Indo-Pacific. Now, we've seen many European countries, France, Germany, Netherlands, all drafting or coming up with their individual papers or strategies for the Indo-Pacific. What do we know about the UK's so-called tilt to the Indo-Pacific, and what might be in it for India and the region at large?
Of all the countries, Ramesh, that perhaps in Europe look to the wider Indo-Pacific narrative today, Britain stands out as one country that perhaps has the greatest stakes here, given its historical role as a major naval power. So I think as Britain looks beyond Brexit to establish itself as a global British enterprise, Global Britain as it is called, post-Brexit foreign policy, Indo-Pacific is certainly the theatre of opportunities and of challenges where Britain would like to establish itself. And at a time when not only the individual countries that you mentioned in Europe suddenly are now waking up to the reality of the Indo-Pacific, but also European Union as a whole will very soon come up with an Indo-Pacific strategy. I think it's imperative for Britain to re-establish itself as a credible actor in the region, and that's what Mr. Johnson and his government intends to do. They are at the moment undergoing their internal review, and it's very likely that by January we will have an Indo-Pacific policy in place. That policy will entail not only exploiting the opportunities that are emerging in the trade domain as Indo-Pacific becomes the center of gravity of global economics, but also the center of gravity of global politics, which will lead to certain strategic challenges that are emanating from the region. And Britain has been very cognizant of those challenges. Britain has been both in the maritime and non-maritime space. We have seen the technology issue of 5G, which Britain has been trying to navigate and made this choice earlier in the year that it would not have China in. So I think largely it is looking at the world through a lens of the Indo-Pacific, and the invitation to Australia, India and South Korea to the next year's G7 is also indicative of that trend.
Absolutely. Ambassador Chakravarti, clearly the focus is on mapping the future trajectory of the ties in the post-Brexit and post-COVID-19 world order. In that context, both sides have spoken about an ambitious agenda. They call it a 10-year roadmap, and Minister Jaishankar says we are exploring 360-degree review of the ties to give it more ballast, more strength, and to widen it in the years ahead. So is there a possibility and scope for expanding ties in more areas beyond the traditional areas? For instance, let's talk about an agreement on mobility, for instance, between India and the UK to facilitate movement of people, professionals, students in particular.
Yeah, I did speak about the education sector, and I think that is a sector that will come under focus. But beyond the students, I think mobility in terms of, let's say, mode 4 of services, etc., would happen because don't forget that there are plenty of Indian nurses and doctors working in UK and other kind of professionals who are there. But they will also in turn seek certain certain openings in the Indian services sector, financial services, banking, insurance, etc. So I think there are deals to be made here, but it's too premature to say what final outcome we will see. But I think there are deals to be made in the economic, financial, commercial domain. And apart from that, the education sector, technology sector, tourism could also become a very major aspect. But that would require a certain easing of the way we issue visas to each other. And I think the kind of cumbersome processes that are involved. And I think, or maybe we could have deals where you could give multiple entry visas for longer periods of time and at a reasonable rate. I don't think the rates of visas are very attractive now because it is quite a deterrent for. It's quite expensive. A single entry British visa costs about, for 3 months, costs about 8,000 rupees. And if you go for a longer term visa, 30, 40,000 rupees have to be spent on one person's visa. So I think that is an area we should look at so that we can reduce. A lot of Indians travel to the UK. There's a tourism potential is there. And a lot of British people travel to India because they come for various reasons, historical and otherwise. So I think what we have to look at the whole gamut, and that is what I think Foreign Minister Jaishankar meant, that we'll have to look at a 10-year roadmap because you can't do it piecemeal, ad hoc, and then go back on it after a year or two. So 10-year roadmap is a good idea so that we can focus on it in the long term and prepare for it. In terms of setting up the institutions, the processes and the mechanisms to implement and to deliver the goods to the people.
Indeed. Professor Pant, how do you look at the India-UK ties in the multilateral arena? We have the UN Security Council, we have the G7 as you mentioned before, and also the G20. There's always cooperation on counter-terrorism as well. This India's concerns on some anti-India forces existing and thriving, some would say, in the UK. So how do you look at these relationships in that context as well?
I think they need, they need to be redefined in the context in which we are trying to redefine the entire relationship. This is a new era. Britain is entering a new phase of its global evolution. India is entering a new phase of its global evolution. India will be part of the UN Security Council from January. And so clearly, I think at the multilateral level, much needs to be done at a time when multilateral institutions are fraying. And those who believe in those institutions will need to step up. And I think India and the UK are two countries that believe in the utility of multilateral institutions and how those institutions have served the interests of both New Delhi and London. And I think, whether it is climate change, whether it is the issue of terrorism, or whether it is the issue of maritime security, there is greater degree of convergence that has opened up in recent years. It was not always there. And I think that is also important to recognize how far Indo-UK ties have traveled. Right. Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi went to UK twice in 2015 and 2018, which is quite remarkable given that his predecessor did not bother to travel to UK. And I think that shows that India recognizes the importance of UK, and UK has reached out to India in major ways. And I think multilateral institutions become one arena where the two nations can work together much more productively than in the past. And given the new realities that are setting in with Britain trying to reestablish itself post-Brexit beyond merely a European power, and India trying to become a leading player, trying to shape the rules of the game, if you will, I think the convergences are quite stark, and both will have great incentives to work together.
Absolutely. On that point, Professor Pant and Ambassador Chakravarti, thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. Chaos prevailed inside the Karnataka Legislative Council on Tuesday after Congress legislators heckled, pushed and forcibly removed Deputy Chairperson S.L. Dharmegowda from his seat. Now, Dharmegowda is a JDS legislator. The Karnataka Legislative Council was called for a day-long session on Tuesday. The ruling BJP, supported by the JDS, had planned a no-confidence motion against Council Chairperson K. Pratap Chandra Shetty, who is from the Congress party.
For the first time in the history of the Legislative Council in Karnataka, unruly scenes were witnessed as the Congress rushed to the chair of the House and tried to push the Deputy Chairman Dharmegowda. As the Council gathered, the Deputy Chairman from the Janata Dal Secular was seen occupying the chair to initiate proceedings. However, Congress legislators escorted Chairman K. Pratap Chandra Shetty, after which they forcefully tried to evict the Deputy from the chair, leading to the ruckus. BJP MLCs tried to come to the rescue of the Deputy Chairman. They argued that Chairman Pratap Chandra Shetty cannot preside over the proceedings since a no-confidence was being brought against him. They maintained that as per protocol, the Deputy Chairman should preside over the proceedings in such a case.
आज देश के सामने जो गुंडा संस्कृति हुई है कांग्रेस के द्वारा आयोजित प्रायोजित, मैं समझता हूँ बहुत निंदनीय है और हम सबका सिर शर्म से आज झुक गया है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि इस तरह की जो अनिश्चितता को देखते हुए राज्यपाल महोदय इसका संज्ञान लेंगे और कानूनी जो दूसरी संस्थाएं हैं इसका संज्ञान लेगी और उचित समय पर उचित निर्णय करेंगी। हम लोग हमारे सीट पे बैठे थे, हमने देखा कि डिप्टी चेयरमैन आके सीट पे बैठ रहे। हमारे चेयरमैन ने पिछले सदन जब उन्होंने अडजर्न किया था सैनिटाई, उन्होंने एक रूलिंग दिया था। क्या रूलिंग दिया था कि जो नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन ले है वो क्रम के संविधान के क्रम के अनुसार नहीं है।
When the chairman entered the house, the BJP leaders even tried to gherao Pratap Chandra Shetty, but marshals escorted him to the chair. He then adjourned the session sine die, after which all legislators moved out of the house. The BJP had last week said that it will bring a no-confidence motion against Shetty, but he had adjourned the house ahead of schedule. He had even the no-confidence motion against him. The BJP government accused Shetty of abruptly adjourning the session sine die on December 10th and petitioned the governor to convene the house again.
Today, what has happened, everybody knows. It's shame in the part of the Congress people and also chairman. So I will advise I will request Congress leaders, at least now, please realize the reality and ask your chairman to resign immediately.
The BJP also wanted to table the anti-cow slaughter bill in the House, and therefore it insisted on bringing the no-confidence motion to remove Shetty from the chair. BJP has the support of JDS in terms of numbers to oust the chairman in a House of 75. Congress has 28, BJP 31 and JDS 14 as done independent. The BJP hoped that this was enough strength to vote the chairman out, but Congress had its own strategy and it led to a die in the House. Aisha Khanum's report, DD India.
Right, shifting focus from Karnataka now to West Bengal. A BJP delegation on Tuesday met the Chief Election Commissioner in New Delhi to raise the issue of worsening law and order in the poll-bound state of West Bengal. The next report has more.
With the political temperature heating up in West Bengal, the BJP has upped the ante on law and order situation in the state. After the attack on BJP President JP Nadda's convoy, a delegation of BJP leaders met the Chief Election Commissioner in Delhi on Tuesday. The BJP demanded that the model code of conduct should be imposed in the state at the earliest.
We have said that probably these are extraordinary circumstances in West Bengal, and because of that, the model code of conduct should probably apply as soon as possible.
The delegation comprised of BJP MPs Swapan Dasgupta, Locket Chatterjee, Sabyasachi Datta and BJP leader Shishir Bajoria. Locket Chatterjee said that the Election Commission had assured them of an investigation into their complaint.
अभी तक 130 कार्यकर्ता का मौत हो गया, 24 घंटा के अंदर 2 कार्यकर्ता का मौत हो गया, 2 दिन पहले का बात है। नड्डा जी का गाड़ी में, कैलाश जी का गाड़ी में जो पत्थरबाजी हुआ है, सबको मालूम हो गया है, पश्चिम बंगाल में ऑर्डर नहीं है, टीम आएंगे और पूरा खुद उसको इंक्वायरी होगा।
Union Minister Ramdas Athavale, who's on a visit to West Bengal, also took on Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee, saying the unruly behavior of TMC cadres is not acceptable in democracy.
लोकतंत्र में जिस तरह कई साल यहाँ के वामपंथी सत्ता में रहे और बाद में ममता बनर्जी को यहाँ सत्ता में आने का मौका मिला, अगर अभी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ताकत बढ़ रही है, लोग उनको सत्ता में बिठाने के लिए उत्सुक है, तो यहाँ गुंडागर्दी नहीं होनी चाहिए।
BJP Governor Jagdeep Dhankad said that he had warned Mamta Banerjee that she is straying away from the rule of law as laid down in the Constitution.
जब इस प्रकार का भयावह वातावरण में देखता हूं, डेमोक्रेटिक एसेंस को कंप्रोमाइज होते हुए देखता हूं, तो मुझे विवश होकर मुख्यमंत्री को लिखना पड़ा। 18 अक्टूबर को मैंने उनको आगाह किया, आप संविधान के रास्ते से भटक गई हैं, आपका शासन rule of law के हिसाब से नहीं है।
Political violence in the state has increased since the spectacular performance of BJP in the Lok Sabha elections. Cases of TMC leaders switching sides have also become common. In the latest voice of dissent, Jitendra Tiwari, the outgoing TMC mayor of Asansol, has accused the Trinamool Congress government of not letting the city receive funds to the tune of 2,000 crore rupees from the centre under the Smart City project due to political reasons. Bikramjit Singh's report, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now take a look at what else is making news around India in our National Roundup segment.
Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman chaired the 23rd meeting of the Financial Stability and Development Council through video conference here today. The meeting reviewed the major macroeconomic developments and financial stability issues with special reference to vulnerability related issues. Department of Posts and India Post Payments Bank unveiled a new digital payment app, Dark Pay, at virtual launch event today. The app is launched as part of its ongoing efforts to provide digital financial inclusion at the last mile across India. Delhi High Court said that the indefinite nurses' strike cannot continue. The single-judge bench said the hospital was considering the nurses' demands, but for now they are being restrained from continuing with the strike till further orders. EAMS asserted that the strike violated an earlier order of the court prohibiting any such action by EAMS employees. Supreme Court refuses to interfere in Kerala High Court order which had prohibited Ayush and homeopathic doctors from advertising or prescribing medicines as a cure for COVID-19. Campaigning for remaining phase of DDC polls in Jammu and Kashmir has reached its crescendo. BJP national spokesperson Syed Shahnawaz Hussain addressed a public gathering at Madakpal Ladhu, Avantipora's district, Pulwama of Kashmir. He also addressed another public gathering in BKpora district, Badgam of Kashmir, which was attended by massive crowds. All arrangements are in place for conduct of 7th phase of DDC elections in Panchayat by polls 2020 to be held on Wednesday in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The 7th phase voting will be held in 31 constituencies, including 18 from Jammu Division and 13 from Kashmir Division.
Time now for all the news related to the COVID-19 pandemic in India in our COVID Wrap segment.
India has achieved several significant milestones in its fight against COVID-19. It has recorded the lowest number of coronavirus cases in the country on Monday in the last 5 months. Daily new cases stand at 22,065 after 161 days. In another achievement, the active cases have drastically declined below 3.4 lakhs. The total positive cases in the country are 3,39,820 and now comprise merely 3.43% of the total cases. The total recovered cases have crossed 94 lakhs. The national recovery rate has further gone up to 95.12%. 34,477 patients have recovered and have been discharged in the last 24 hours. 74.24% of the new recovered cases are observed to be concentrated in 10 states and union territories. India's recovery rate is one of the highest in the world for countries with high caseload.
रिकवरी रेट की अगर बात करें तो हम 95% से अधिक रिकवरी कर चुके हैं। जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा कि एक्टिव केसेस की संख्या लगातार घट रही है। सितंबर के मध्य में हमने सबसे अधिक एक्टिव केसेस देखे थे। एक्टिव केस वो होते हैं जो या तो अस्पताल में भर्ती हैं या फिर घरों में सेल्फ आइसोलेशन में हैं डॉक्टर की निगरानी में। तो वो 10 लाख से अधिक थे सितंबर के महीने में। फिर अक्टूबर में वो 9 लाख हो गए, 16 अक्टूबर में 8 लाख हो गए और फिर घटते घटते अभी 6 दिसंबर को वो 4 लाख हो गए और वर्तमान में अब वो 4 लाख से भी कम हैं, 3,50,000 से नीचे चले गए हैं।
Meanwhile, the corona vaccine trials are in the last phase in the country. At present, 6 vaccines are undergoing clinical trials in India. This week, the Drugs Controller General of India granted clearance for clinical trials for one more candidate vaccine from India. Genoa company, with the help of Government of India's research agency, Department of Biotechnology, has developed a vaccine.
भारतवर्ष की जो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बायोटेक्नोलॉजी रिसर्च एजेंसी है हमारी, उनके साथ मिलके जिनोवा एक कंपनी है, फर्म है, बहुत ही इनोवेटिव काम करती है। एक नया वैक्सीन को इजाद किया है, इंडियन वैक्सीन है और इसमें mRNA की टेक्नोलॉजी को इस्तेमाल किया गया। तो ये वही टेक्नोलॉजी है जो कि फाइजर वैक्सीन में यूज हुई है। दिस वैक्सीन, इफ इट कम्स इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस, विल बी मेंटेनेबल एट नॉर्मल कोल्ड चेन कंडीशंस इन अ नॉर्मल फ्रिज। तो अब हमारे पास 6 वैक्सीन एट दिस टाइम आर अंडरगोइंग क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स, ह्यूमन ट्रायल्स।
हम 29,000 कोल्ड चेन पॉइंट्स का उपयोग करेंगे, 240 वॉक इन कूलर्स का उपयोग करेंगे, 70 वॉक इन फ्रीजर्स का उपयोग करेंगे, 45,000 आइस लाइंड रेफ्रिजरेटर्स, 41,000 डीप फ्रीजर्स और 300 सोलर रेफ्रिजरेटर्स का उपयोग करेंगे। ये सारा इक्विपमेंट ऑलरेडी राज्यों के पास पहुंच गया है। इसके अलावा अन्य इक्विपमेंट भी उनको सप्लाई किया जा रहा है।
According to government sources, Health Ministry has received data of 50 lakh healthcare workers so far for the vaccination drive. The government aims to vaccinate 1 crore health workers in the first phase of vaccination. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
PM Modi will light up the Swarnim Vijay Mashaal, marking the beginning of the 50th anniversary celebrations of the India-Pakistan War. The PM will lay a wreath at the National War Memorial. Defence Minister and the Chief of Defence Staff and the Tri-Service Chiefs will also pay homage to the fallen soldiers. PM Modi will light up the Swarnim Vijay Mashaal from the eternal flame of National War Memorial. These Mashals will be carried to various parts of the country, including villages of Paramveer Chakra and Mahavir Chakra awardees of the 1971 war. Soil from the villages of these awardees and from areas where major battles were fought in 71 are being brought to the National War Memorial. In December 71, the Indian Armed Forces secured a decisive and historic victory over Pakistani army, which led to creation of a nation, Bangladesh, and resulted in the largest military surrender after the Second World War. From Wednesday, the nation will be celebrating 50 years of the Indo-Pak War, also called Swarnim Vijay Varsh. Various events are planned across the nation. Moving on, PM Modi has extended condolences over the demise of Eswatini Prime Minister Ambrose Lamini. The PM said in a tweet, and I quote him here, "My deepest condolences to the government and people of the Kingdom of Eswatini for the tragic demise of Prime Minister Ambrose Manvulo Lamini. Our prayers and thoughts are with the bereaved family," unquote. To world news now, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey hit back after the US imposed sanctions on Turkey over its purchase of Russian ground-to-air defenses. The sanction also targeted the top Turkish defense development body, its president and 3 employees. Erdogan said Turkey expects the US to support it and not sanction it over the purchase of the missiles. He said he was upset that Washington, D.C. went ahead with the sanctions process. He added that neither sanctions from the US nor the European Union would deter Turkey from defending its rights. A bomb attack in Afghanistan's capital killed the deputy governor of Kabul, security officials said, adding a sticky bomb was attached to his car by unknown assailants. Mehbubullah Mohibi, the deputy governor, was traveling with the security guards when the blast occurred. 2 guards were injured in the blast. No militant group has made an immediate claim of responsibility for the blast. To West Asia now, Israel said it successfully tested a multi-tiered Israeli missile defense system that could hit targets flying at different altitudes, such as cruise missiles or ballistic missiles. A video distributed by the Defense Ministry showed interceptor missiles being fired at targets simulating cruise and ballistic missiles. In a related briefing, a senior Israeli official said Israel could be open to future collaboration on missile defense with Gulf Arab states that share its concern over Iran. Tokyo Skytree, the tallest star in the world and an iconic part of the Japanese capital skyline, was illuminated on Tuesday in the pinkish gold hue of Tokyo's Olympic torch to mark the start of a 100-day tour of the Olympic flame. Organizers confirmed that the Olympic flame will still visit all of Japan's 47 prefectures during the torch relay that begins next year on 25th March. Lebanon is expected to sign a deal this week for supplies of the Pfizer and BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Lebanon's health minister said the first batch of the vaccine, consisting of 1.5 million shots, will arrive 8 weeks after the deal. Lebanon's latest 2-week lockdown to curb a surge in infections ended this month. The country has reported 1,210 deaths due to COVID-19 so far. And London will be placed under the country's highest level of COVID-19 restrictions beginning on Wednesday as a new virus variant has been spotted among the rapidly rising infection rates, the UK's Health Secretary said on Monday. The Minister, Matt Hancock, announced that London and its surrounding areas will be moving into Tier 3 restrictions, which covers 60% of England's population. Under the highest restriction levels, shops can remain open, but theatres and other venues in the entertainment sector must close, as with hospitality venues, including pubs and restaurants, except to offer takeout orders. Russia reported nearly 30,000 new coronavirus cases of the last 24 hours, including almost 5,500 in Moscow alone, pushing the national tally to over 27 lakh. Authorities said 577 people had died overnight, taking the official death toll to 47,968. Russia, which began vaccinating vulnerable people in Moscow last Saturday, has resisted imposing a strict lockdown as it did in the spring, relying on targeted measures instead. In Brazil, a mass inoculation campaign against COVID-19 will only be possible from March and will rely on the AstraZeneca vaccine. A senior official at the country's health ministry told Reuters. The comments came as a fresh wave of coronavirus infections devastates Brazil, which has the world's second highest death toll from the pandemic, with over 1.8 lakh people dead, behind only the US. As the UK and the US begin immunization using the shot developed by Pfizer, pressure is mounting on Brazil's health ministry to quickly make a vaccine available amid criticism the government did not secure a diverse enough supply of potential candidates. It's a wrap, but news continues here on DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. But don't forget, it's a simple task. Just wear a mask. Join DD India's Mask Up campaign to beat COVID-19. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.